Who are those 4 guys that you would say it could be greatest ever, but you would just put it on your Mount Rushmore? Like, who would you put on that?
All right. So corners, you gotta go Deion Sanders. Freaking Darrell Revis. Oh my
Mm,
God.
the Island.
Was it?
The
Revis
Island.
Island, yeah.
Oh my. I'm going Ed Reed, and I
Mm.
gotta go, and I gotta. It's a funny one. You ready for this one? Reggie freaking Nelson, bro. Like
Hey, Reggie.
I wanted to play with Reggie so bad.
Jameel Muhammad and Jeff Cardozo dive into the hobby, which is sports cards, trading cards, as well as all other collectibles, right now on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast, live from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
All right, hey everybody, it is your favorite time again. The Meelypod Hobby Podcast coming your way from our Meldon Law Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Jeff Cardozo, Jameel Muhammad, and you got a Cardinals hat on, but like nobody's talking baseball. It's football time.
I mean, yeah, I got to get a good Bucks hat.
Yeah.
You know, have my I got to find a good Bucks hat. Yeah, go Bucks. I mean, 2-0, played great Monday night. That was a great game. It was a fun game
Baker
to watch.
drove them all the way down.
Yeah,
Scored
final
at the
game.
end, and
Bucky came around. You had Ibuka with a big drop, but I mean, he still looks really good.
another touchdown.
Yeah, listen, hate on the Bucks all you want. Let Packer talk, Eagle. You guys talk it up. Wait till the playoffs come around.
Yeah, Ibuka 3 touchdowns. I mean, I'm sure the cards are probably going up, and that's what we need to get into. But speaking of the Bucks, we'll talk to a former Buck and a former Florida Gator. Ahmad Black will be our guest today here on the podcast. Looking forward to talking to him. Ahmad's always got some great stories. Got a tremendous honor earlier this year. He was Mr. Two Bits.
Hey.
So he got called back to
That's big.
Celebrate in front of 90,000 people and relive that big cheer. So, yeah, I mean, obviously there's so many different things that people get honored all over colleges across the country. But when you're talking about the University of Florida getting to do that, one of the greatest honors out there. So it'll be fun to talk to Ahmad. But let's talk some ball.
Yeah.
Because, you look at it now. I mean, injuries are certainly a part of the game. Injuries ruin fantasy teams, and I think you got Joe Burrow on one of yours, right?
He's dropped already.
So
he's gone. Sorry, Joe.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that
Joe's toe.
This is now the cost of, not only the fantasy world, but I'm sure the card world as well, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's so funny with football. Like, I like to do this kind of, everyone always gives advice, investment, blah, 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 but nobody ever goes back and talks about, like, where were we at a month ago when you were paying these exorbitant amount of dollars for Drake May.
Sure.
You know what I mean? This huge amounts of money for Jaden Daniels. And, like, you just look at some of these classes, and it might be good to kind of talk about the year of the classes, but, like, just 24. And I'm not going to get into 25 yet because I think it's tough. I mean, Cam Ward had an amazing throw. Not a lot. I mean, we don't know anything about darts yet. Shadur might be bagging groceries in a few weeks. We don't know. So we can't talk much about 25. And there really wasn't many cards out yet. But 24 was just this driving force with not just wax, but the singles. And Jaden Daniels cards were an all-time high. Drake May cards, so high. Penix cards, very high.
I remember you even saying that. He got really hot right before the season.
People were paying big dollars for Penix right before the season. Caleb Williams, prices at this big number. Out of that entire list, and J.J. McCarthy, who we forget about, like, he has an amazing kind of second half in the first game.
One quarter.
Right, and then he looks really bad the second game against the Falcons.
And so,
and all of those names I just brought up, they've probably dropped a good 10 to 20 to maybe 30% right off the bat, in terms of their market value. Whereas somebody like, out of that whole list, Bo Nix is kind of maybe maintained a little bit, hasn't really dropped too much. But, like, think about that for a second, right? Like, all these quarterbacks that everyone was prospecting on after week 1, after week 2, we've seen such a drop in values. Now, will they come back? Sure. Is it a great time to buy? Yes. I'd love for people to come and sell me Mahomes at 30, 40, 50% off his rookie values. You know what I mean? Because it makes sense to buy at those times if you're smart about it. Burrow may be a guy you may want to buy. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think he's, cursed like Andrew Luck or something, But, it's good to kind of look back at some of these things and kind of analyze, like, how you buy, how you collect. If you just like the players, that's fine. But if you're in that investment side, you can really lose a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's hard to make back that money in football cards once the guys have come down, because now we're no longer week to week. You kind of stretch it out a little bit more, right? So that's interesting.
So, and it is fascinating because obviously before the season that, happened, and then you do bad, it obviously goes down. So then let's transition over to baseball a little bit then, because now it's the tail end of baseball, and we're talking about investment and when to buy, how to buy. Like let's just say a Junior Caminero, a guy that I would like to get some cards from. He's having this great year. He's young. He's early 20s and hitting all these homers. So I'm sure the cards are probably up a lot. Or Nick Kurtz, from the A's, another rookie that's done great. Is it now a tough time to get those? Should you wait into the summer where people now aren't thinking about them? Like it just seems like there's so many ups and downs because of how they're doing at that time in their particular sport.
Yeah, I would definitely, I think with someone who has any sort of hype in baseball, to wait until postseason. Specifically, okay. I mean, like Cal Raleigh is another guy. You think about, could he win the MVP? And then all of a sudden, what's his market value for the next 5 years? Catcher, is he really going to take over the league? You know what I mean? So I think some of those things you have to kind of put in your back pocket as you make these decisions for holding on to cards for long periods of time. Now, if you're just flipping cards, then obviously just flip cards. Baseball cards, you can't really flip in the offseason. Yeah. Right? Let's be honest. Like, things just drop. We're already seeing that drop already. Caminero is a guy who's on a team that's playing in a high school stadium, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, like, there's not a lot of hype with the Rays. I don't think they're in the playoff picture, right? No. And so, like, when you talk about somebody like him, I think it's a great time to buy some of his first Bowmans and his Topps Chrome Autos, like, in December. You know what I mean? January. That's a perfect time to maybe pick up some of that stuff when no one's thinking about the Tampa Bay Rays and Junior Caminero. One guy I will have to eat my words on, and I still don't understand it. He's at all-time highs in his value. One of his cards just sold for over $100,000, a Topps Dynasty card, is Paul Skeens.
Wow.
Like, the guy who is a pitcher, I mean, there's not really – I can't even tell you a pitcher who's maintained value like this. You can't even compare it to someone like Nolan Ryan because cards were in a different world then, right? So, like, where Paul Skeens is at right now, and I do think – there's a big tie in there with the hype, how much he's in FaceTime, Livy Dunn. I think a lot of those things actually help his cause a ton. The debut patch card, when we talked about it, selling for $1 million, all of these things helped him a lot. And I'm wondering now if we're entering into kind of this new realm of hobby where if the hype is there and can maintain, some of these cards like Skeen stuff is selling for crazy amounts of money. I talked to some of the baseball guys at the shop. Tim is a big baseball nut. We just look at each other like, how is Skeen's card selling this high? So, there is some changes happening, and I think you got to pay attention to that. But again, going back to football, if you were paying attention to the 2019 class and buying Daniel Jones and Kyler Murray cards in the offseason, like at an all-time low with very high upside, these guys are 2-0 right now. Like, now is the perfect time. If you don't believe in those guys, sell them, but you'd make a huge profit.
Yeah, people are saying Daniel Jones now all of a sudden can be maybe the next Baker.
Right.
And then, that's another guy that, I don't know if you necessarily think about, but he kind of got lost, but he was really, really good. I'm sure hot back in the day and now really good again. So it is fascinating because then I think you go to that next year's class of 23, like Stroud, I mean, they
what's going
put
on?
Up a stat last night. That's now 16 straight games where he hasn't thrown for 300 yards.
That's wild.
And I remember talking to you about how big his cards were, when he first came out. And then, obviously we haven't seen anything over there in Carolina. And
Bryce Young. So. I mean, we've had people talk about how big Bryce Young, shout out to some of our younger collectors who came on back in June. We'll have to do a follow-up with them. I actually saw one of the younger guys, I forget who it was posting on Instagram his story, like all the linemen. He's like, it's just getting worse and worse, but he's obviously talking about it because of those Bryce Young cards he has. I think these are kinds of things you have to pay attention to, right? 2020 class. You have Herbert, who's now, we were hating on him a little bit, but now look at him. You have someone like Hurts who still doesn't have hobby value. Doesn't make sense to me. But then you also have someone like Burrow, right? So like the guy in the class who's leading, right, and everybody was buying his cards at an all-time high preseason is now the one. He ain't playing for 3 months, guys. Right. You know what I mean? He didn't put any stats up. So thinking about these things, then I was just kind of venturing back and even farther into 18, where I think that's a perfect class. If you want to start buying wax and investing in wax, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Saquon Barkley, Baker Mayfield, all four of those guys. Well, Saquon did win a ring already, but those three quarterbacks right there, I mean, massive. You know what I mean? These guys are leading teams that will probably be highly contended in the playoffs. I'm guessing Lamar and Josh Allen, the way it looks right now after week 2, will probably be in the Super Bowl.
Sure.
I mean, I don't think anybody would want to disagree with that if you had to pick. But I just think some of these things where make the smarter decisions in the hobby. I see so many people fall on those hype trains, Jeff, and they get caught up in these values. And now you got a PSA 10 Drake May that you paid $5,000 for that you probably couldn't sell for $3,000 right now. You know what I mean? So just thinking about some of those things.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, just the ups and downs. And why? Like you said, Jalen Hurts, and I'm just sitting there, why? Like, you dude just won a Super Bowl. And I know, I guess the stats aren't sexy, and sometimes he doesn't throw for a bunch of yards, but is it because of what we're seeing? He's sort of a quiet guy and not really a presence out there that a lot of people see, whereas Paul Skeens is with Livy Dunn.
Sure.
You have all these other guys, or now Josh Allen is, with Haley Steinfeld, and they're on HBO, and all these other things. Like, it does seem more now to attach yourself with collecting to those people that are more out there in social media and being influenced, because their name's always being talked about.
Yeah, branding is, I think, massive in the hype train, and just the eye that you can see people in, right? We're always going to beat ourselves for not buying in on some of these guys when the story makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? You want to root for Lamar Jackson. You want to root for Josh Allen to make the Super Bowl. These guys are likable guys. And I think when you see those kinds of things, like if you can beat the rush to that kind of stuff and get in, you'll do well with those. Jalen Hurts, to me, if the Eagles can win a couple more Super Bowls in his career, I think there's going to be a switch that gets flipped, right? Okay. People are going to have to say, like, hey, he's won these Super Bowls. He's been a huge part of commanding this team on the offense, creating a dynamic tush-push play that nobody can stop, although everyone's off false starts or whatever. They're offsides they're all talking about. But I think these are kinds of things that you get into now where if it doesn't make a lot of sense, maybe go against the curve a little bit when you're investing in cards. But then there's also the fun side of collecting. Like I think it's a good balance. There's players that you want to collect. There's players I want to collect as well. Sure. So have a healthy balance in that as you kind of navigate this world. And football right now, I mean, the fantasy and the fantasy woes, I'm sure that you're seeing it, but the hobby woes can be even worse.
Yeah, it's fascinating for sure. All right, some news on Fanatics Fest 26.
Yeah, so a lot of people know. I mean, it's a little bit old. They announced this a couple weeks ago, but Fanatics Fest 26 is actually going to be held in New York 2 weeks before the National. It's going to be held the same weekend, I think, as the World Cup final. And it's the same weekend as the West Coast Card Show, which is a massive card show. We've had Rob Veries from Burbank Cards on here before. We've talked about how massive that show is at the Anaheim Convention Center. Massive show. And the same weekend as the Dallas Card Show.
Wow.
So for me, as a shop owner and a show guy and all these kinds of things that I think about, it's a massive cluster. We got this traffic jam happening in July next year. And I know it's a year away. I know it's far time away. But I have to think about this for a second because we now have the two biggest shows in the world 2 weeks apart from each other. And for a lot of people, the expenses to go to New York City during the World Cup final, you know what I mean? I already looked at hotels. I couldn't find hotel less than $750 for a night. And this is a year out, right? Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see who kind of shows up to that. I think Meelypops, I think our brand, we support what Fanatics has done for our shop and helped us grow through Tops. Even going back to 2018 when Fanatics wasn't even involved in Tops and how they helped our shop, we always want to make sure that we're supporting those people that have taken care of us. And we enjoy Fanatics Fest, but it's definitely tricky, man.
Yeah,
like
hard.
We're getting to a world where these events are just. I wonder in a way if the scheduling around these events is to try and create friction, to try and create a little bit of rub so people aren't going to go to the National. Hey, don't go to the National. Come to Fanatics Fest. You know what I mean? We got everything going on. And here's the other thing that I think people are missing. By the time Fanatics Fest 26 happens, they will have all of the licenses to the NBA, MLB, and NFL. And as well as many, many other franchises, and pretty much everything, right? And so that's, I think, a very telling thing to think about. What they can do with that. What kind of events and special, unique things will be done at that event. That'll be the first time ever they have control over pretty much the monopoly of the three major sports in America. So
fascinating.
Be interesting to see. It'll be a very tricky weekend, Jeff, but we'll have to try and get you up there somehow. Buddy.
Yeah, that'd be cool. One last thing before we get to Ahmad Black here. Tom Brady is on TV last night sitting in the booth because he's a part Raiders owner and minority owner, and he's staying relevant again, and then just announced that he's going to do a big flag football game in 26. So like his cards even like I know they're probably all-time high and the GOAT and all this other stuff, but do they have room to even get better because of how he's staying relevant?
Yeah, it's a great question. Tom Brady, I mean, has really reinvented himself so many different ways post-career, and I think he's done it strategically. We've had Chris Costa on here talking about card vault, very early on when they made that announcement, and it's really fun to kind of see where he's going. His cards are continuing to grow. He's staying relevant. There's a lot of hype around Tom Brady. I think he's got an engaging personality. He's going to be around speaking about leadership and football forever. You know what I mean? So he's one of those guys that I just see, continually increase. And as you bring that up, I think about what's going on in the high-end world of cards, Jeff. We're in this golden era, folks. Like, if you're not paying attention, there are cards selling for tons of money. LeBron James gold this past week, $800,000 from Prism. Messi Black, we're talking about different sports here. Messi Black, 1/1, select. It's a basic kind of card out of a box at the time, which was $400, sold for $600,000.
Wow.
Caitlin Clark cards selling for $400,000, $200,000, $600,000. I'm bringing this up because I think a lot of people are not paying attention to where we're at right now. And so investing in some of these kind of GOATs, these guys that I think are always going to be in the news, Jordan, Brady, Messi, LeBron, these types of player level caliber players, I think will always have longevity. And I think we're starting to see, maybe it's the Mr. Wonderful effect, with Shine and him buying into this $13 million card. Now you're starting to get eyes and attention, people hearing that term alternative asset class. So we're watching it and I'm seeing it. And again, as a card shop owner, that's something that I'm paying more attention to, the wax of those eras that you can pick these big cards out of, the single cards, if we can get into them. Who are some up-and-coming GOATs that we might be thinking about, for years to come? Ohtani, Carlos Alcaraz, like these kinds of players where there's still room to grow for these guys as they go. So a lot of things happening at once, man. I'm so thankful to be a part of this hobby. It's wild to think where we're at in 2025.
Yeah. It is fascinating for sure. And just to think, you spend $400 on a box and you got your kids' college and your retirement paid for by finding one little thing. We'll talk about some of the new wax a little bit later in the podcast. But right now, we've got to take a break so we can get to Ahmad Black. He is our guest, former Gator, former Tampa Bay Buck, and we'll have some fun talking with him right after this.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
This is Jameel, owner of the Meelypop shop, Gainesville's home for collectibles of all sorts, including every single type of sports cards, whether it be Panini, Topps, Leaf, Upper Deck. We have it. Come on in, get yourself a box, a pack, get yourself some supplies, get into our breaks, get your Pokemon, get your Yu-Gi-Oh! All the other different kinds of TCG products that we carry and shop are always fully in stock. You can find our stuff on our website as well, Meelypops.com. That's another way you can interact with the store, or you can just come into the shop. We're located off 39th Avenue by I-75 behind Walgreens and Sonny's. Stop on by. We're open every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you can check us out on our social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'd love to see you. Come on out to the shop, have some fun, be a part of the card community here in Gainesville, and always go Gators.
All right, we welcome you back inside Spurrier's Gridiron Grill here in the podcast room, Jeff and Jameel, and it's time to bring in our guest, a guy that, certainly if you're a Gator fan, you know who he is. Nationally, you probably do too, because he was balling back in the day, national championship winner, and then played in the NFL for a few years. Ahmad Black comes into the podcast today. Ahmad, what's up, man?
Oh, man, just hanging out, just at the office to get some work done today, and hopefully we have a little bit better weekend coming up sports-wise. I didn't do too bad this weekend. I went 1-2. I lost with Florida, and I lost in fantasy, so here we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fantasy is a big deal. Let's start with that then, because how fun is that? Because obviously, even when you were playing, was that a thing where were you guys going against each other? I know you talk smack. If like what's going on with that?
So first of all, I don't know why you have this loser on the show. I'm 0-2 now in fantasy. So sorry my season. Hey, we gotta get some things going. And this is my first year actually playing. So I tweeted about a few weeks back saying, hey, like what are the do's, don'ts of fantasy? Everyone just freaking loves it and they live and die by it. So I was like, hey, doesn't look hard. Let me try it out. All right. And it goes about as good as my sports betting, which is, if that says anything, I'm 0-2. So, I get in the league with my sister-in-law and her boyfriend, and um, I get the first pick drawn. I'm like, all right, great, sweet. All right. I'm like, Jamar Chase it is. Well, we all know what type of player Jamar Chase is. He freaking lit it up this past weekend. First week gives me 4 points.
Yep.
I'm like, bro, like, what are we doing? All right. So I didn't know people are going to listen to this and tell me how stupid I am, but I didn't know you can have more than one defense on your roster. So I know the Ravens defense is traditionally one of the best ones. And I took the Ravens in the draft. And then they gave me -7 points
Oh no.
against the Bills, which it put me in a weird situation because I didn't do my homework. So my quarterback is Josh Allen. So I went completely rolled with the defense, but Josh Allen killed. So like it almost like canceled itself out, I guess, and I lost. So I'm like, hey, I know Tampa's defense is decent. Let me just try to pick them up. I got some bad advice. It's like, hey, drop your defense. It'll still be there. Nope, not there. Guy I played this past weekend had the Ravens defense. 15 points. Tampa gave me 5. So
they got it out
yeah,
for you,
so,
man. That league's is conspiring against you, man. I'm not
you know
sure
what I
about
mean?
that.
And then I don't know if I like the waiver wire and all that. Like if I see a player in free agent, I want to go get him. If I'm the first one there, I should be able to get him. But I think it has to go through like different people, and I'm like, by the time it gets to me, it's like, all right, bro.
You can come in one of our leagues next year, Ahmad. We have the free agents just set up because I also hate that rule where it's like you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you may
know
not
what I
get
mean?
the players. So it should be, if you find the guy, go get him.
That's right.
Well, and then also like I do like little stuff like my homework outside of it. So like I go to different people who kind of have been winning and whatnot. One of them is my daughter's volleyball coach, and shout out to Coach Clayton, Lakeland High School. And he tells me like he goes through and look at some players, and he's like scrolling down. He's like, you need to get this guy, and you need to get this guy. And I'm like, how the heck does he know that? You know what I mean? So like he said that like last week, and I went and tried to go get some people, and I'm like sitting around waiting. I'm like, all right, why aren't they on my roster? Well, they didn't clear waivers, and someone got them before me. But like it's players that I know you guys don't. This is not the biggest sports league that I'm in. All right, these guys, I don't know how much sports they watch, but some of these names you really have to be in it to know. And I know you just saw me try to get them, and you just decided to pick them. So
That's right. That's
here
what
we
it
are.
is.
Here we
Yeah,
are.
a lot
Here
of
we are.
randoms. All right. Well, you mentioned high school, so let's go back to those days. I mean, you guys were obviously dominant down there in Lakeland, and I guess I wonder. It's probably fun. You're playing with dudes you grow up with, and it doesn't seem like that's the way it is anymore with people transferring and not playing with those guys. But how good were you guys? Like, people probably didn't even want to schedule you or like play you guys because you were that dominant in high school, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard to get. I mean, I don't know if it's hard to get games around here, but like it just served no purpose to kind of like, with all due respect to the schools around here, and Polk, like maybe like Lakeland play Arbondale this week. Like we wouldn't never put Arbondale on our schedule back then. Maybe like a Haines City or a Lake Wells. Like none of those schools would have served us any justice to play. Now we were able to go to Ohio, played Luke Kuechly's high school. We played some teams down in Miami. So it was cool to kind of know, like, hey, we're the best team and we're gonna beat whoever we play. Now we just got to go do it. You know what I mean? So everyone knew we were the best team. I remember when it came out that we were the number one team in the country by USA Today. Coach Castle, legendary coach, that was our coach. He basically told us that the newspaper was a fraud. And I'm like, all right, cool. So that's the first time I ever heard fake news. All right. So he told us we weren't the number one team in the country, and we literally went out and smoked everyone. And in the championship played against Major Wright and St. Thomas and like Marcus Gilbert and all those guys. They were the number 4 team in the country. We beat them by 30. So there we are.
Not too shabby.
I mean, it's interesting thinking about too. High school and the level of just players that like now, right? Everybody knows about everybody, but probably when you were playing a lot, like, there was a little bit of a secrecy, or like you didn't know how good this guy was or how good your team may have been because it wasn't broadcast. But now it's like they got rivals and everything. How fast high school football has evolved in the past 15, 20 years is crazy.
So we were playing a team, Miami Norland. Now, they've been pretty decent these last few years or whatnot. And like they got this left-handed kid at quarterback, and we're trying to figure him out and whatnot. It's freaking Antonio Brown. So then I go back and watch, and I'm like, no freaking way. And like, yeah, we played against Antonio Brown, and like Nate Allen, who was a USF guy, played with the Eagles, and we played a couple guys that kind of like were real deal dudes, and like we had no idea. You know what I mean? So.
Well, now that you bring that up about players, like, has there ever been like, I'll just keep it at the safety position, but has there ever been a player, like whether it be high school, college, or pros, that you would have wished that you could have played against? Now I know you're on different sides of the ball, like they're both be playing safety, defense, offense, but was everybody that like you wanted to compete against? I mean, I can think of so many different safeties across the years, whether it be high school, college, or NFL, but that you knew of that maybe you wanted to show out against and show them what you were made of, on maybe a legendary NFL player or somebody like that.
I don't really look at it like as far as like showing them up. I think it would have just been an honor just to like play with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's just get this on record. Like there are two safeties that they're my all-time favorite to play with. Major Wright for sure, number one, and Mark Barron from Alabama. Like those two are my guys. Like I played with Mark in Tampa and Major in Florida. But I mean, I've trained with Eric Berry before, and like, I don't think people understand how hard of a worker he was. It was like unbelievable, like to the point where it's like, I don't even have to see any of your clips as far as football of you playing. I just watch how you train, and I understand why you're so good. If that makes sense. Like he was a freak of nature. Like it was unbelievable. So I got to, train with Eric Berry and whatnot. Derwin James is another guy that I remember him playing against Lakeland when he was in high school, and I was watching the game and whatnot. And Castle comes and he starts talking at halftime because, it's the break and whatnot. They asked him a few questions about the game, and I'm watching it live, and he goes, "Yeah, we got to stop that Derwin James kid. Like, kid plays all over the field. Like he plays offense, and they got a punt, and he's the punter, and then they go on defense, and it's just crazy." He was like, he's a bigger, faster, stronger Ahmad Black, and I'm like, whoa, like that'd have been awesome to play with. You know what I mean? So those are like my guys right there. I mean, I would love to play, but I typically don't look at people like that's not how I play. Like I didn't go play to try to like per se show someone up. I just wanted to just go play football, and like just so happened like I just work really hard, and then I just start showing up and being there. Like I just ran to the ball. That's the easiest way to kind of like explain it. Like I just will always run to the ball, and good things happen at the ball. So
yeah, they certainly do. Well, good thing happened when you got the offer to come to Florida. But I think certainly recruiting's changed even from just the small time ago when you did it. But if I remember you telling me right, like you didn't even come visit Florida, right, before you signed? Like what made you sign with Florida when you hadn't even seen the school yet?
I never even been to a Gator game before I committed to Florida. That's the craziest part. I was telling some Blau Powell. So Blau Powell was, he went to Louisville. He played with Coach Charlie. He's from Lakeland as well. Played, I think, 11 years with the Jets, running back.
Yeah.
Me and him was on the phone this morning, and because we grew up together. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like I was supposed to commit to LSU the day before I committed to Florida, which was crazy. I wanted to go to college with someone I went to high school with, and the Pounceys were already committed to Florida State. I'm just going to tell you right now, I grew up a Florida State fan, and they wanted no parts of me, which is okay. They went and got a safety that had one career pick, and I had two my first game starting. So it's all good, and I got a national championship. So
throw that out there. Keep it here.
That sounds real Florida State-ish, all right? So I was going to go to LSU with the tight end that we had at Lakeland, Jordan Hammond. So I remember we sitting at McDonald's, and I mean LSU was just nonstop. I remember Coach Lane, and he would just nonstop text me, call me. So I'm like, all right, they had already offered, and I'm like, all right, cool. So when I went to commit to LSU, he said, yeah, we don't have any scholarships right now. Basically like backpedaled and said, hey, we got to pull scholarships for some guys. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like the naive me is like, all right, I'll just wait on it. You know what I mean? And so I called my safety coach because the next day we were supposed to be going to Florida's camp. And I was telling him, I'm like, hey, just so we're all on the same page, I'm going to commit to LSU. I'm not going to go to Florida camp because why would I go to Florida camp?
Sure.
And he was like, oh, you should go anyway. You know what I mean? Like, everything's taken care of for you. Da, 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 da. So I'm like, all right, cool. So this is where this story gets funny. So I go to Florida camp. We're in the stadium. A lot of people don't know this as well. It's so funny though. I kind of cheated my way to Florida per se. Um, so when typically you have like the route tree and whatnot. So like you ever see a quarterback like look over to a receiver, kind of give him a signal or whatnot. Well, you can't do that at like camps and stuff because like all these people come from different places. So like how do you tell the quarterback what route you're running and whatnot? Well, simple. Billy Gonzalez was out there and he was drawing all the routes on the football with his finger. Like, I can see every single route he drew. And people don't know that. That's how I got my scholarship to Florida.
That's
So
awesome.
every time a wide receiver would run a route, I already knew what he was running. Now, I made it look like I didn't. I made athletic moves and whatnot, but I just bit on everything. Like every single pass they thrown, intercepted, knocked down, every single one. And Urban came up to me afterwards and said, "Hey, I'm offering you a scholarship. Take it or leave it." Which was ironic because I haven't even talked to my parents. Barely talked to Coach Meyer. I was more of Coach Strong was recruiting our area. Um, but Chris Rainey had already committed, and he was part of me saying yes because he was like his little squeaky voice, like, "Come here, come on," you know how Rainey talks, and I'm like, "All right, like, I mean, I guess, in my mind, I'm like, hey, if I don't like it, I can always decommit. Like, I don't care, like, what these people say. Like, you can't tell me I can't like decommit from your school. Like, if I don't like it, I'm not gonna come here." So, um, we I said yes. The next day, the we were all at we would always go see the coaches at the offices before we left back to Lakeland. So it was like me, the Pounceys, Stephen Wilkes, Rainey, Paul. I think Paul Wilson was with us, and then we went back to their office, and they were like telling the Pounceys, they're like, "Hey, Ahmad committed yesterday. Like, basically, what are you guys waiting on?" And they looked around and they were committed to Florida State, and they were like, well, if you offer Stephen Wilkes, which is the safety at Lakeland with us, they were like, he's been the biggest Gator fan. Like Wilkes was a Gator fan when we were little, and I hated him like for that because he's the best person in the whole wide world. I feel like Stephen
Yep.
Wilkes. I love you, brother, but you like the Gators when we were growing up, and I didn't. So I would like just give you crap for it. But he for sure the twin said if you offer Wilkes, we'll decommit from Florida State. And Urban was like, all right. So that's how Stephen Wilkes got there. That's how Pouncey was able to get there because they just thought so much, of Wilkes and
Yep.
what they felt like he could bring to the table. And they had Urban offer him. So that's how that whole story kind of went about, which was super cool because we committed in like June or July of 2006. Um, Jeff, this is a crappy story, but like everyone was so ready to go to the first game. I think if we played Southern Miss that year,
Yep.
was it okay? And I was so excited to go to the game, and then I got a freaking wedding invitation. Like, what is it with weddings in the freaking fall? Like, go away.
It's a
Like, what
no.
is this?
Do not do it.
Yes,
Don't do
do
it.
not do it. So that's my first experience with a wedding in the fall, and it was my cousin. And guess what? There was no streaming and whatnot back then. I don't think that game was a huge game, so I don't think it was on TV. Somehow I got to watch it a little bit, like bits and pieces. But like Pouncey's were talking about going to the game. Rainey was talking about going to the game. Like everyone was talking about going to the game except me. So my first game was, I think, UCF. What was the next game? And that's when I saw Percy score his first touchdown and whatnot. But we committed there before they even won a championship
Yep.
in 2006. So we got to ride that whole like wave, you know what I mean? Which was super dope. So we would do like little things like, 7 of us committed to Florida from Lakeland. So like on a Saturday night, we would just go like alternate go to each other's houses and like we all go there and watch the game and like just have fun, make a night out of it. So it was cool. It was a cool season.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, those stories are like amazing. I mean, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, right? And then
Yeah.
the rest is history, right? Look at the next
Yup.
years at Florida and how you came here and the dominance that the secondary had, and it's amazing
Yeah.
hearing that and hearing these stories from you, Ahmad, makes me think a little bit about kind of my world with the hobby and memorabilia and cards. So you probably got to have a cool hobby story of maybe it was a jersey swap, or maybe there was something you picked up over the years. Maybe it'd be something from one of the national championships or something. In terms of a piece of memorabilia or something you got that you kept, or is there something maybe hanging up in your man cave back home, or that you've kept over the years?
Yeah, a couple things actually. I mean, let's see. So the coolest thing that I got from Florida probably, um, we were playing. Obviously, the rings are the best. So let's just the rings. Yeah, I got what, 4 rings from Florida, I think. Um, but we were playing the Outback Bowl game. We go to like was it like the welcome dinner or something like that?
Yeah.
Like we have both teams there, and we get there and like I think the left side was Florida and the whole right side was Penn State. And there's 2 coaches that I ever been starstruck with. Being a football fan, like growing up, you know what I mean? I was born in the late '80s, so like Penn State was really good, kind of around that time. Joe Pa was going up, and Bobby Bowden. So it's Joe Pa and Bobby Bowden was like the gods in
Oh
my
yeah.
sports world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So when I first ever met Bobby Bowden was insane. But we were at the welcome dinner and Joe Pa walks in, and I think like the whole just world just stopped because it's Joe Pa. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But on the stage, like behind it was like these hanging banners, and they had me and Mike Pouncey and Coach Meyer, and then they had Joe Pa and 2 of their players. So it was pre-NIL. So I'm like, hey, that's a cool like picture of me. Can I have that? And they were like, sure, you can have it after you play the Outback Bowl game. And I'm like, great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it kind of like went in one ear and out the other. And they actually brought it to me after the game, which was cool. And it's like
Wow.
a tarp. It's like
Oh,
tarp,
cool.
but it's like a huge picture. It says University of Florida at the top. And it's a huge, it's probably like 10 feet tall,
Wow.
literally, and then it's like tarp material. So it's just like a single picture of me, Florida Georgia game that year, and then at the bottom it says Ahmad Black. So it's super super cool.
It's a
That was
one-on-one for sure.
one,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, for sure. And then I got ironically Ronde's Barber last game 1 jersey ever, and he's
Oh,
for me. Yeah. So that was like pure accident because he was supposed to retire after my rookie year. He didn't. He came back and they didn't sign any safeties. It's a funny story. So I'm like, all right, I know what time it is because the last 2 or 3 games of that season, I guess they got I had Raheem Morris. He got pissed at the safety for doing something and kind of just like, Ahmad, get him out of there. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, what do you mean? Like, kickoff's not out there, punt's not out there. You want me to go play regular defense? All right, cool. Let's go. We're down by 30. Great. Let's go out here. Like, you know what I mean? So after that season, they fire Raw. They didn't bring back any safeties except me. And I'm like, okay. I did decent in the last 2, 3 games. Um, I'm gonna start a safety. Let's go. You know, we go to I think it was like OTAs or something like that, and they put up the depth chart, and it was like Ronde Barber at safety over me, and I'm like, excuse me, like I don't mean no disrespect to Ronde, but like, guys, I've been a Bucks fan since I was freaking coming out of the womb, and you're telling me one of the best corners in the history of football is playing safety now? What is this, Charles Woodson back here? Like, what? I don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? So but it was like a blessing in disguise because I got to do everything with Ronde. So
Yeah.
like lift weights with Ronde, train with Ronde, run with Ronde, eat with Ronde. Like everything revolved around Ronde because, mind you, granted, he was drafted when I was in his fourth grade, I think, which is insane. All right. Um, so I got to do that with him, but then so I knew that had to be his last year. I mean, the guy had the smoothest back pedal I ever seen in my life. Nothing like he. I know like coaches and some of my teammates were like, hey, Ahmad was a really good tackler, but like he was like OD with it. Like Ronde was on another level. Like he can tackle anyone. There's not one person I ever seen that Ronde not tackle. I never saw him like miss too many tackles. So it was crazy that at 185 pounds, he can just tackle anyone with no fear. And I thought the world of him. I got my first NFL start was his 200th start against the Panthers. He wanted his 200th start to be starting at corner because he played it his whole career.
Yeah.
So they started me at safety, moved him to corner. Ironically, that was my first start in the NFL, and I got an interception.
A baby.
Picked off Cam Newton. He didn't want to talk to me after the game, so that I'm like, "What's up, bro?" He's like, So end of that season, we have our exit meetings. They give us like our helmet if we want it, a jersey if we want it, and I'm like seeing everybody like in the locker room because everybody's got their offseason plans. We didn't make the playoffs that year. We almost did. I think we finished like 8-8 or something like that. And everyone's like trying to hurry up and clean out their stuff so they can leave. And I'm looking over at Ronde and he's kind of like soaking in the moment because I know this is going to be his last year. You know what I mean? It's year number 16. And I go up to him just nonchalant, then wasn't loud because I didn't want someone to beat me to it because there's a lot of people on that team that made way more money than I did. So I said, "Hey, Ronde," I said, "How much would you charge me for your game jersey right here?" And I kind of said it kiddingly, but like I was for real a little bit. And he like laughed. And he was like, "What, this jersey black? You can have it." And I'm like, "Not for real. How much I owe you?" And he was like, "Nothing." And I was like, "If I go get a Sharpie real quick, would you sign it for me?" He was like, "Yeah." So he signed it. And a pleasure to play with you. And Ronde and to black. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's a special jersey. Yeah, you think about like in my world of like game jerseys, number one, but then also like the last jerseys, all the major players and at their positions, Brady and Manning, all these guys, the quarterback. But from a defensive player, it's much more rare. Like I just think about someone like Ed Reed or these guys, their last game jerseys. Ronde's in that company because of just what he did and how much he accomplished. So I don't know, man, you got something special there. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no amount of money that'll make me like sell that. You know what I mean? 'Cause, bro, I'm not the richest person, but like also like I've seen a couple million, so it's like.
What were you prepared to pay? That's the real question. When you asked it, what were you prepared to pay?
I probably wasn't gonna pay. I'm probably gonna just say, "All right, bro, keep it." You know what I mean? That's the real. That's funny. No one ever asked me that, but I probably would have like not paid him anything. But man, I got so many Ronde stories, man. It's just funny. It's so funny that every time I'm able to see him, it's just it's like we never left. You know what I mean? Like he invited me back to his Ring of Honor when he got up in Tampa. Ironically, like one of my boys was playing golf the other day with him, and he like FaceTimed me. And he put Ronde on the phone, and Ronde was like, "What the?" And so we like exchanged numbers again, and so yeah, he's a good dude, man. Yeah. Really, really good dude.
That's awesome. So many people like listen to this, young, old, and it makes me think. As you're telling all these stories, obviously getting those opportunities to play at the next level. But let's just even go back to like that college part. I mean, I think you got to school like $150. I came in at 155. Just like tall, skinny, nothing. But like we have to figure it out as freshmen, or you have to understand what it takes to be successful at a certain level. Like what are some of those things, especially like being around the dudes that you got to be around, like. Just learning what that was like, how to figure out life and as a freshman or sophomore, and then turning into it. Because I know there's a lot of kids that think, "Hey, I'm gonna just show up, I'm good, I'm gonna do this," and they don't work. But like you got to work your ass off, don't you, to inevitably make it?
So, Jeff, first of all, don't take my 5 pounds from me. All right, I was 155 pounds. All right, when I
So
walked into
we
Florida.
were the same, but I was about 8 inches
But
taller.
but you're like way taller than me. All right, so this is how this story went. So, of course, in high school, you want to put in the program that you weigh 185 because that sounds appealing and that looks
Sure.
better when coaches kind of, back then there was no, again, we talked about like, let me hop on the internet and see how much he weighs. Like, you got to come to the game, you're going to get the program or whatever I tell you, you're going to have to just go with it. Now, you don't know if I weigh that or not, unless you're kind of really looking at me. But I got to Florida. I was playing corner. Coach Mark Campbell, shout out to Coach Mark. I stepped on the scale and he looked at the scale and he looks at me and he goes, "Hey, get off for a minute." So I get off for a minute. And he's like, "Step back on." And I got on there. And he's like, "Just one more time. Just step off." And I stepped off and stepped back on. It was 155. And I'm like, geez. But it's so crazy. I left. I was 195.
What a baby.
There you go.
So in the first year, I think I probably gained about 20 pounds or so. I was probably like 175-ish, around that area, around my freshman year. Um, I tell people a lot, especially the younger kids and whatnot, it's more of getting your mind right mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it, like even in any sport, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever. You're not training how you do, especially at a D1 college. You didn't do that in high school. So like that alone already puts a damper onto your body. So like your body has transformed to do something that you've never done in your whole life. So like I can tell you right now, we didn't run freaking 300s at Lakeland. I can tell you right now, we didn't run 53s, like 30 53s or nothing like that, or 35 or 38 half gassers. Like we didn't do that at Lakeland. So like now you're asking your body to do a whole lot more. But what does that entail? Also, the recovery aspect of it. So now you're learning your body and a recovery aspect of when you're working out and whatnot. Um, and then also you got to learn how to get the fluids back into you when to eat. Mom used to wake you up for school. Nope, you got to wake your own self up for school. You got to be accountable. If that if you got a 6 o'clock team run, if you're late and everyone gets in trouble, then how are you going to cope and deal with your teammates? Like it's a lot, right? And then after you do, maybe a workout in the morning, say you have a game, so it's workout in the morning, it's game week. Then you'll have, you go to class, then you have to eat lunch like me because I was like kind of underweight. So I would have to constantly be eating and drinking. And that was hard too because we run so much that you lose a lot. And then you got to continue to pile it on. So like after a while, bro, it's like I'm so tired. I don't feel like eating. I don't feel like drinking. I just want to go shower and lay down. Well, you can't. So then you got like tutoring, and then you got training table, and then it's so much. To a high school kid, I can see how it can get overwhelming, but I feel like NIL is cool, but it gave these kids, a lot of them, a way out. Instead of making them bow up and be tough, you're basically saying, "Hey, if it's hard, screw it, go somewhere else."
Yep.
And then the other place you're going is hard too.
Mm-hmm.
So like, then you don't like that one, then you go somewhere else. So like, it's almost common. Watch this weekend. I want you guys to do me a favor. Watch this weekend. Watch dudes all over college football. Watch dudes make plays, and they're gonna say, "Oh, this is a first year guy here from hypothetically Tulane, and before that he was at Washington." It's like, damn, like he's gone to 3 schools already.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I'm so happy that I'm like they're like Ahmad Black. He's a former Gator. All right, cool. That's it. I don't want to be a former, you know, Wolverine or a Buckeye and a Gator. Like that's super weird to me. I lived in a different age and time. I guess that's the cool thing now. But to me, it just screams that you don't know how to overcome adversity and you probably won't be great.
Right there with you.
They don't make them like they used to, Jeff.
No, not at all.
You bring up Ahmed. I was thinking about that. As all these quarterbacks and high profile NIL athletes are moving. There's a quarterback at UCLA who might be replaced by a walk-on this week. With Nico and what happened there. So hopefully people will watch that. The young players will see that and see, hey, there's something to keeping your roots down and plugging in and being committed, wherever you do. And that's a life lesson.
Sure.
You just brought up a bunch of stuff that I think is huge that, people don't ever talk about. And so my next question for you is kind of, along those lines and thinking about people who were committed, people who were steadfast. We live in a culture now where everybody wants to talk about the Mount Rushmore of a certain position or something like that. So I want to ask you, as a safety and as somebody who's seen a lot of secondary players, who would you put on Ahmad Black's Mount Rushmore of, we're just going to call it secondary position. It doesn't have to be the best ever, but I want to hear, you kind of alluded to some earlier, but I want to hear who would you say the four guys, and you can put yourself on the Mount Rushmore if you want, but who are those four guys? Who are those four guys that you would say, it could be greatest ever, but you would just put it on your Mount Rushmore? Like, who would you put on that?
All right. So corners, you got to go Deion Sanders. I know people will say, let's go with. I saw him towards the back end of his career, but man, he was a freaking dog. He was an animal. Freaking Darrelle Revis. Oh my God.
The Island.
Revis Island.
Oh my. I saw him so we paid him in Tampa like a lot, and I saw him first of all, he came in with a Mini Cooper. Let's just start there. So he pulled up first day in a Mini Cooper, and I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, after talking to him and whatnot, like, this was the most souped up Mini Cooper I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was like supercharged, like one of those fast Mini Coopers too. It was crazy. But he got beat. I think he was guarding Vincent Jackson, and I mean, Vincent just ran a route, like a crazy one, and he was able to run the route and like almost catch the ball. Like, as he was catching the ball, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, this is who we paid money to, this Revis kid? And like, as soon as Vincent Jackson was about to catch it, he comes out of nowhere and just dives and bats the ball down. And I was like, all right. I'm like, hey, let's go, I remember being in the game with Revis, and it's like, we're in cover 2, and it's a single side receiver, and he just basically shoos me off. And he's like, get the hell away. Like, I got this. And I'm like, all right, bro. Like, well, I guess I'm just wandering in no man's land. I guess I'll wait for a route to come back from the other side, because Revis doesn't need any help. So Deion and Revis are my corners. Gotta go for me. I'm going Ed Reed, and I gotta go, and it's a funny one. You ready for this one? I know Sean Taylor is. I can't do 2 Miami guys. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
but like Reggie freaking Nelson, bro. Like,
hey,
I love
Reggie.
I wanted to play with Reggie so bad. Not even like start with him, but like just to see how he approaches everyday, like game week process. Like how do you study? How do you attack like training? How do you lift weights? Those were the things that kind of like, I know people like women like diamonds and all that, but like I like to see how people who are the best train. If that makes sense.
100%.
So yeah, so you got Revis, you got Deion, you got Ed Reed, you got the eraser.
Reggie Nelson, man.
You think Tom Brady would throw any picks to that secondary group?
I think he'd get lit up. I think
for sure
he'd be in trouble.
For sure.
Yeah. Reggie went to Palm Bay High School, which was my high school's rival, Rockledge High School, back in the day. And when he came, we kind of graduated around the same time. When he came to college here, and I would watch him in interviews. Ahmad, he was like one of the quietest people. He was like, they ask him questions, he's like, yeah, man, yeah. He's just really quiet, introverted. So you know something's going on up there in terms of like how he played and how dominant he was when he was here in those years. It was amazing to watch. Amazing to watch.
He literally didn't care about anything. He like, I don't think I've probably seen Reggie Nelson in my lifetime, maybe a handful of times. And that's being super generous. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I would ask like the '06 guys about him, and they're like, "Hey, man, he's Reggie. It's not really You know what I mean? Like he's really good, but like he just don't
Just
do shit. Like he's just
chill.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I love how he would hit people. I love how he would just basically just he would make you and this is how I played. So like I wasn't the biggest, obviously I wasn't the fastest, but like our defense was designed and our guys in our minds was to make you think about the last time you touched the ball and what happened to you. And like that's equivalent to you putting your hand on a hot stove and it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what you're not gonna do again? Put your damn hand up there.
Yep. That's
So
right.
so we want you to feel like really bad. I mean, remember Spike's got the freaking eye gouging. I mean,
Yeah.
that sucked for Spikes, but you know how many eyes and testicles that we grabbed in the piles? Like we just freaking try to
So
go
bad.
nuts because not because like we're in the guys or anything, but like we want you to understand that last time you touched this ball, you might not be able to have kids if you touch it again. All right. So
Yeah.
let's just, and that's where we were with it. No
Yeah. Great.
disrespect.
Great mindset. All right, so that takes us into our first of our we'll do a little Titan MRI rapid fire. So the
All
first
right.
thing that comes to your mind, you
Okay.
just got to throw it out there. All right. So
All right.
since you were talking about that, did you have to pick up any body parts from that Oklahoma receiver after Major destroyed him on the sideline?
Man, bro, I never seen someone so defeated in my life. Um, imagine you like, imagine you going to like a middle school dance and you see this like pretty girl over there who you want to talk to, and then you go over there and you slip and fall, like right as you're going to her, and like she sees it, and then like you have to take that walk of shame of getting up and walking back to the other side of the dance. That's basically what happened. Like he got smoked on our sideline.
Yeah.
And I never seen Casey talk so much trash in my life. So like tell Tate I said that.
Oh
Like
well.
Tate wasn't really a trash talker, but he talked trash on that play. So like if you go back and watch it, you can see like Tate barking at him from the sideline. It was super cool. I think that amplified I mean, I think even Joey Sorrentino was down there, and like some of the walk-ons were like chirping at him. You know what I mean? And like there's nothing like literally nothing you can do, at this time. So
Out of all the guys you got to, and girls, of course, you got to hang out with at UF, and it's all these great athletes, which is awesome. But who was the funnest bunch, other than the football players, to be around?
um I'm telling you, the soccer girls and softball were super fun. I love Coach Walton. Um, I was a little bit of a crazy fellow back then. And I'm married now, so we're all good. But Coach Walton, like he likes to tell me that I had his team going crazy. But whatever. Nonetheless, they were freaking awesome. Volleyball was awesome. I mean, spent plenty of time with, Callie Rivers and,
Yeah.
and Lauren Bledsoe, Aaron, Cassandra, like all those girls were super awesome. I think that anytime we kind of got around other athletes, I mean, we would do like barbecues. Like, I'm not sure if the athletes now are close as we were
Agreed.
at Florida.
Yep.
Like we
Good point.
like we would go to games, like all of that. Like it was just super fun. I know for women's basketball, um, Zania was out there, and we would go to Gator Dining for a training table, and we would call it our Gator Dining dates, where like we would just go at the same time, and so we could just have fun. I mean, it was so much camaraderie back then.
Hmm.
I don't think it's like that now. I think that everyone's almost more focused on their own selves.
Yep.
But we really had the college experience. Remember, there was no social media. It was Facebook, but there wasn't really social media and whatnot for people to kind of get bogged down into and go crazy over. We just kind of like talk to each other.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love the most. I mean, for me, it was you walk in, you're eating with Mike Miller, guys like that. It's just like just you pick each other's brains, like
Yeah.
what makes you good,
Yeah.
like what makes you tick,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
was The swimmers were always the craziest, at least the biggest partiers when
Yeah,
we
bro,
were
for
around.
sure.
So
I remember a few of those hanging out with us as well. Actually, I showed my wife one yesterday, and we were just talking about how all the cool times and whatnot. I think the best thing for me to do is like so cool is to see any athlete that we were at Florida that we kind of like hung out with, and like to see like them being a parent and like
yep.
in their relationship and like with their families. Like that to me is the most satisfying thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I just love to watch, especially like the female athletes that have their kids and whatnot, and how they would react with their kids and their husbands, and it's super cool to me.
Yeah, no doubt. It's awesome. Hardest, you mentioned some of the runs, so it made me think, like, what's the hardest run you ever did? Like, what made everybody puke?
Well, first of all, Joe Hayden, we still have to like beg and plead him not to freaking just outdo everyone because that was Joe Hayden. I mean, Joe Hayden we have a 6 o'clock run, and he's the best dressed person at 6 o'clock in the morning I ever seen in my life. Him and Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy was another one, but for different reasons. All right, Gerald McCoy would wake up and wear 3 chains, a hat, bracelet, watch with like all diamonds, and then walk in the practice facility at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, bro, why are you wearing all that at 7 o'clock in the morning? I look down at my shoes and I have on house shoes, and he's wearing like brand new Jordans. It's insane. Joe Hayden, on the other hand, we listen. It was Gaines Vegas for a reason. All right, so Joe would have fun, do whatever he need to do. Come the next morning with his clothes on from last night, and I'm telling you, like, there was no one in our room, in the DB room, that can beat Joe in anything. Literally nothing. Not stronger, not faster, not more athletic, not anything. Nothing. So we would have to say, hey, if we run a half gassers or whatever the case may be, or we just going to like 53s, which is just one time across the field. By the way, the people listening, the football field is 53 and a half yards across. So we call those 53s. A half gasser would be down back. So we have to run a 53, which is across the field, 7 seconds. Down back will be 14 seconds. Joe Hayden would be 5 yards in front of everyone, and it's not even close. So what we would have to do is tell him to slow down before we go. We're like, hey, slow down. Let's run in a pack, and then we're good.
Yeah,
So that's how we would do that. But I mean, we would run like we would call it halftime at the midpoint. So down back. That's two half gassers. So we run 4 of those, which is equivalent to 8. So it's down back is 1, down back is 2. So we run 4 of those, right? And then we run another 4. Or I'm sorry, we run 8 of those, and then we run another 8. So that's 16 of those. Then we'll take a halftime and then run 8 and 8 again.
We got you right.
So yeah, we were ready to go on game time. And anytime we played a game, we were one of the most prepared teams, and that's what Urban would tell us. And we would want the seasons and the games to be easier than practice, and that's just what we live by.
And it was, I guess, easy for you because you mentioned the first game you started, a couple of interceptions. That was against Hawaii. Do you remember the quarterback's name?
No.
I have no idea either. I was just wondering if
Colt Brennan?
It's like he's up on your wall or something. He's like, hey, I got you. First one.
Colt Brennan had just left. I think he just went to because that year before they were really good. I think they were like undefeated. I think they played like Georgia in the bowl game, like Sugar Bowl or something like that.
Broke the record or something.
Yeah. Which that pissed me off too, because that year Tennessee went to the SEC championship and we beat them by like 30.
Yep.
But because we lost to Georgia,
right,
that's what kind of like put us out of it. So yeah, that's how
that's
went.
That's what it was back then. All right, a couple more. This might be because he's your boy, but there's all these rumors who's faster, Rainey or Demps. Like, can you tell us who it really was?
It depends on what you're running. All right, so if you're running from here to the door or whatever, or 40 yards, that's gonna be Rainey all day. Like Rainey has so we would do this agility deal, right? And we pick teams and whatnot, and then the coaches would match us up with a person and you go against that person all day long on every station on the agility drills. So I will smoke everyone. Like it's not even close. Like I can get off the ground and start running before you can even realize what's going on. Like we're going side to side shuffle and all that. You're not beating me. One day I went against Rainey. It was brutal. I think I won one time out of maybe like 60 attempts or something like that, some crazy. And that's because he slipped and when he got up and run, he slipped and I beat him. Rainey was so unreal as far as like short distance, left, right, like the craziest thing I ever seen. But like now, if you got to run like 100-meter dash, Rainey starts to slow down a little bit. Demp's not slowing down.
Okay.
Like it's unbelievable. Like I never saw a running form as beautiful. There's times that I would just watch Demps and like his form, and I was just awe at how amazing his form was because I know I'm about to run and my arms are going across like this. and he's like always here, and I'm like come running across and like yeah. So
that's why I was in the Olympics. Pretty damn
Correct.
good.
Correct.
All right. So you talked a little bit about NIL, and if we had NIL back when you were playing, you're the Outback Bowl MVP, you get the couple picks and all that other stuff. Like you think you would have probably gotten like lifetime walk into Outback anytime you ever wanted for the rest of your life because you were the MVP of that game? That would have been sweet, huh?
I would have pushed
you
for
would
that.
have asked for that?
Yeah, for sure. I would have let them keep that little picture thing, and I would have, and I'd have asked for free Outback. All right, it's not. Listen, I'm not an old lineman, so it's not like I'm just coming in freaking a big course meal. I just want probably a small steak and some broccoli, and I'll be okay. You know what I mean?
How cool was that to go out that way and just know that man, this is my time here.
I didn't really realize how cool it was until as I got older. I think until I sat back and realized, my first game starting at Florida, I had 2 picks, and one of them went for an 80-yard touchdown. Oh, wait, my last game at Florida, 2 picks. One went for an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that's cool because that's my last game, and I went to the NFL, and I got drafted by the Bucs. Oh, wait, that happened in the Bucs Stadium. so it's a lot of variables that like as I got older, I'm like thinking about like that's so cool. Like nothing can beat that. Like you're in your favorite team stadium, last game of college, and you get drafted to your favorite team right by home. And like as a kid, I never really said I wanted to play football for 10 years or 100 years. That would have been amazing if I played for 10 years, all right? I got an opportunity to make plays and have the announcer. Like, I'm gonna just tell you, Jeff, the coolest thing about Mr. Two Bits is obviously the opportunity to keep a tradition alive that has been so precious to like Gator fans and like, all the people who kind of like go to the games and like look forward to it. But like this is what I got out of it. I got to run out of the tunnel one more time as a Gator. And get it on camera, which is super awesome to me.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And then also like to stand there and hear the announcer like just kind of like babble off some of my like accomplishments and awards and say my name again in the stadium with my kids there was that was pretty cool. I enjoy like again, like the opportunity, but having my kids in attendance and like Urban would always tell us like, hey, one day you're gonna bring your kids back. You're gonna want to, show them where you went to college, and like they're gonna ask you, what did you do? Where are your pictures? Where's your name? I did it.
Yep.
It's a lot of dudes that was in the locker room that can't do that with me. That guys that was on my team that, yes, they can say, hey, I was on this part of this team, but like I was one of the dudes. You know what I mean? And not trying to say like I was a one-man team because like I probably wasn't even maybe the 7th to 10th best player on that team. I just worked really, really hard. You know what I mean? And I didn't play this game to say, hey, I want to go down in the Hall of Fame. I want to do this, this, and this, and this. I played the game because I enjoyed it. And along with playing a game that I enjoyed playing, I was blessed enough to play it well. And that's where everything else comes from.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. And
that's where I am.
And as you say, that's what I think how special that would have been to, have the kids there and watch you do that. You crushed 2 bits, by the way, in front of 90,000 people. So
I appreciate it.
Great stuff.
I got crap from my uncle. He told me I chest bumped Albert, and Albert out jumped me. So we're gonna have to run that straight back. All right. So I'm gonna tweet Albert and see if they tweet me back. But we gotta redo it because I think that I kind of slipped a little bit when I jumped. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Am I making excuses, or is that fair?
It's all right. Don't worry about it. You should get Albert in your fantasy football league next year, and then
for sure. You know what I mean?
Smoke him that way.
Smoke him, right? see who he wants to claim off waivers and take him before he gets them, right?
Well, Ahmad, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Great stuff. Obviously, we could talk for hours and hours, but great to see what you've done. I know the best part about all that is now being a dad and still getting to coach and be around all that stuff. So keep it up.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you guys always, man. If you need anything from me on my end, man, just don't hesitate to reach out.
All right, sounds good. The great Ahmad Black. We'll take a break, come back with more on the Meelypod Hobby Podcast right after this. Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans. All right, Jeff and Jameel back here with you. Great stuff from Ahmad. It's the stories are fascinating, the behind the scenes stuff, and you hear about players and different things going on, and just it's fun to pull out some of the things that nobody even really knows about. And that's what these NFL guys get to tell you.
I mean, to listen to him, it's kind of, maybe we're the old heads, but to hear what he's saying, stuff about just committing to a team, what I mean? And he played with somebody that probably would have been the greatest NIL player ever in Tim Tebow, right? But NIL beneficiary, right? Ever. But again, Tebow just wanted to be here, wanted to play, and he loved what he was about. So I think it's just interesting listening to Ahmad and then him talking about someone like Ronde Barber, and hearing what he said, and just what a cool story that is for him to have that jersey, you know what I mean? Like that, Ronde probably didn't care, but now Ahmad Black's got it.
It's a big deal for him, and he should take it to CGC to get it, checked out. They're the nation's leading grading company. Submit your collectibles, sports cards, trading cards, comics, coins, video games. CGCcards.com is the place to do it. And I'm cleaning out my house this weekend. Doing some stuff, and I found some other cool little just tickets and different things. So I have to bring it by, and I even found some old Pokemon cards.
See, guys, Jeff was acting all cool he didn't know about Pokemon,
but he told me about Pokemon. So
he had him in his back pocket. He was showing the ladies back in the day. You know what I mean? Pokemon have this little thing on it with the holograph where it has a swirl in it.
Okay.
Not everyone has it. It's rare to find it. So the Pokemon crowd says swirls get the girls. Ooh, so I know you came up with that line. I know that's what you came up with.
You got me.
Showing off the swirls, the Charizard swirl. So
all right, what else you got for
so Wax
is
it's a little tempered. Next week you'll be excited about because next week we have the anticipated baseball prospect release with 2025 Bowman Chrome.
Okay.
So that's coming out next week, which is really fun. That has the international players in it as well, and always a good kind of product. I love kind of seeing what happens in Bowman Chrome, and all the baseball head come out of the woodwork and they're chasing somebody. But this week we have a couple smaller releases. We got Stature Hockey from Upper Deck, Topps Premier League paper. This is 25-26 Premier League, and I think this is the first time now that Topps takes over the license for Premier League. So again, we talked about it in the first segment, but they have lots of licenses, and so kind of paying attention to that, where that's going. The two big releases would be 1-in-1 basketball, which is kind of this product that has two cards in it. You can chase some really expensive cards in it, big kind of chases with autographs and short prints and things like that. And then a lot of people are really excited about is 2025 Panini Donruss football. this year, like many years, they put the downtown cards in the Donruss as like a case hit. And there's a little bit of a conspiracy going on with it. There was a Calvin Johnson downtown that they showed a picture of, and I guess the image was actually from a 2008 or something Leaf product with Brandon Pettigrew. Oh, so gosh. It was the exact same image that was used, and so there's all this kind of, are they going to take it out? What's going to happen? Is that really not Calvin Johnson? Is it Brandon Pettigrew that they use the image of? But also with the downtown world, there's I know a lot of people are going to be chasing this. There's a Saquon Barkley card, I think, that's coming out, Eagles, and they have a Philly cheesesteak in the card. Ooh. So there's some pros and cons to the new downtowns, but people are really excited about it. It'll be fun to see what comes out. And, of course, you get your rated rookies of Cam Ward and Jackson Dart and all the new guys coming out. Travis Hunter, who's, had a phantom PI call against him this past weekend, but
cost him the game.
Cost him the game, but
so that's pretty cool. So there used to be gum in packs, and now there's cheesecake.
Now you get not cheesecake,
cheesesteak.
Cheesesteak. There you go. Yeah. No, so that'll be a fun release. But as always, we're in the fall, heavy releases, lots of things coming out. Pay attention to what's coming out because there's some sleeper kind of products that you'll miss here and there. And then of course we have the end of this month, or I think it's next week, Jeff. Topps is coming out with Disney Chrome, which is going to be a massive release. And then at the end of the month, they have the SpongeBob Topps Chrome coming out, which 25 years of SpongeBob. So you non-sports folks, it's coming.
That is crazy. Pluto is my favorite.
Pluto.
Disney character.
All right, I can get you a Pluto refractor.
A Pluto card would be awesome. All right, awesome stuff as always. Again, hopefully you listened and got some good advice on what to buy, when to buy, and how to buy, all that tremendous stuff. But it is just more and more fascinating the more we sit here and talk about different cards and values and what makes stuff go up and what goes down. But the cool part is the hobby is really, really doing well, and it's an opportunity to go out there and find some stuff and get kids involved and just get everybody to enjoy it because you never know what you're going to get, but we have a lot of fun in doing it and making it happen.
We will be out in force the next 6 weeks with card shows. I think we have 5 card show events up until early November, so make sure you keep an eye out. One big one will be the Charlotte card show, our first time ever going to it, and it's going to be a combo of Florida and South Carolina Meelypops.
Okay.
It's like 500 table show. It's really, really big. Last year, Grant Williams was walking around buying cards, and they got all sorts of stuff going on. So we'll be up there, and as well as many other ones from Jacksonville, Space Coast. There's a Pokemon event we're doing locally. There's a lot happening. So we'll be out there, and make sure you're following Meelypod on Instagram. That's our new kind of just throwing clips up there from all our different past episodes. If you want to check that out, we'd love for a follow there, as well as all the other ways that you can catch the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, all those fun places, Spotify. So make sure you're following us on those platforms.
Plenty of ways to do it. All right. That's the great Jameel Mohabben. I am merely Jeff Cardozo. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Thursday at noon.